I think like a lot of masters there do stuff like this podcasts, but it gives a different perspective than people like you and I. So even though you are a teacher, you know, you're a master, but I'm more like a.
So, yeah, I want to expound on what you said about without offending anybody. My empty, my void is voider than you.
Yeah, it's bizarre. I mean, I think it boils down to people getting stuck on ideas more than just being that thing, you know.
First of all, how can empty be emptier than
Exactly.
empty?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the whole concept. It's a concept, right? It's empty is devoid of things.
Right.
So how can something be more devoid of things than another if it's already devoid of things?
I think
right?
naturally, when you're talking about when you said it's a conceptual thing, then it's a finite thing. When you say concept, it's already a finite thing, right? Then when you say when a conceptual thing tries to embrace something that is void, how can you embrace that with a concept? You can't, right?
Right.
So you're enforcing that. Oh, my concept.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like you get stuck on the concept, which becomes an intellectual thing. It's not the real thing anymore. I think a lot of what we do in Tai Chi, the way we do it, I think is really about letting go of concepts and staying with.
It's a challenge because
with the real thing, you know.
It's a challenge because, as you know, our master would say, you feel you're empty, but you're still not empty.
Right. I mean, there's always somebody who's going to be emptier. Like, I mean, with master himself, you know, like if we touch with him, we think we are empty, and then when we find out, like, we're full of shit.
How does that? Do you think it relates to, like, you know, when we were doing entering into us, what we feel is samadhi, and then the void, you enter the void or not enter, just a figurative speech.
You become the void.
Yeah, you become the void. And then, what do you think is happening at that moment for you, where when you say,
"Oh, yeah, that's
maybe for," I'm not saying I know it all, but when you become the void as opposed to entering the void,
right?
Maybe
that's the entering the void is meditation. Becoming the void is samadhi. You become samadhi. You don't enter into samadhi.
That's almost the same thing as entering into the void, right?
Yeah, it's like samadhi is like okay. So what do you call void? A void is basically absence of things. Right? There's nothing in there, and that's our true nature. Our true nature is like that. It's empty.
When you say, okay, here's the thing with when you say absence, there is no things, right? But for a Taoist, emptying is also filling. To me,
it is
empty is the same as full.
So it is, and the reason why empty and full are same, like I'm talking from a Vedantic perspective, right?
Okay.
Is because when we say something is empty, we mean that there is no thing in it, and when I say thing, I mean as a subject object. So I'm a subject. I'm a subject. This is an object. Everything that we can perceive with our senses and know with our mind is an object to us, the subject, right? So when you become empty, all that remains is the subject. You yourself remain as your empty nature, your true nature, which is emptiness, without devoid of anything. So when you go into nirvikalpa samadhi, where there's like no thoughts, right? That is the void, because that's your true nature. That all you're doing is, if you think about, like, there are clouds in the sky, and you empty all the clouds and only the sky remains, it's almost as good as nothing remains, because you only usually know the sky, you know, because there's stuff moving against it. Otherwise it could be, now it's blue because of the scattering effect, but if you're out in space and there's nothing there, it's darkness, right? But that darkness is not really devoid of light. There is light everywhere. Only thing is, there is nothing for the light to reflect off of.
So yin and yang is really
Yeah, because see, if you think space, right, that's yin yang. That's
Right.
there is emptiness,
Right.
but there is also light, illumination,
And
right?
you know, as you have taught me, I
I haven't
know
taught you anything, man.
anything about the term like Advaita Vedanta.
Right.
When you say when we become empty, now I'm realizing that we've always been empty.
Mhm.
You're just putting something into it that makes you realize that
You always been empty.
yeah, it's always been empty. We
Yeah,
just
it's
put in
like that finger pointing to the moon, right? So
Bruce Lee
all these teachings, like they're all fingers pointing to the moon, and the moon is inside.
yeah,
You know, you are that.
yeah.
I mean, I know a lot of people get pissed off with me for, you know, they think that Vedanta is only, you can only know the truth by studying under, you know, like a Vedanta expert, a master of Vedanta, but not necessarily, because that truth is there in everybody.
No, I like when you said that because I don't think this is just a Hindu thing or the Taoist.
No, it's not.
It's really one, right?
Because all those are concepts.
Yes.
This is all concept. All religion, all these different traditions, they're just concepts. They're great. They need to be there for different types of people, different mentalities, different types of, you know, nature. You need different tools, right? So
Sometimes I envision too, like if you say Hinduism, the term Hinduism is also encapsulating
many different traditions.
right.
That, yeah.
But from a Western point of view, when you say Hinduism, it's almost saying, oh, that's a conceptual thing because you're encapsulating a concept. But then I realized that Hinduism is not that.
Right.
It's not that moon that you're pointing to. It's everywhere.
Right.
Right?
It's not the finger.
Right.
It's the moon.
So
Yeah.
you cannot really encapsulate Hinduism in that sense.
Right.
Because
I mean, it's a label, right? So like Taoism.
right.
It's a label. Like Tao is a label.
Right.
Lao Tzu says that the Tao that can be named is not the real Tao, right? And
You're right.
it's the same thing. Like in Vedanta, we'll say Brahman is silence.
So how
You know,
do you?
so that silence is the same thing. It's emptiness. There is nothing in it. It's silent, but it's got everything in it. It's pure potentiality. Everything exists as pure potentiality.
So I mean, for us, the only way to have the resolution is to really experience that, and it's non-verbal, it's not linear, right?
Yeah.
But how do you even discuss it with others? Because you have to start from somewhere and say, wait a minute, how do you find?
So yeah, so it's a progressive thing, right? So it's not even really experiential in a sense, because you experience things. How can you experience your own nature, your true nature? You are that already.
You're already there before you even start.
That is how experience is possible.
Right.
If you're not that, then there's no experience, right?
Right.
But that's like you can't. Some people you might say, oh, you're that, and boom, done. Job's done, right? Yeah, and then they know. But most of us are, you know, we have been conditioned over not just this lifetime, thousands and thousands of lifetimes potentially, right? We have come and gone so many times, and every time we come, every roundabout, there's new impressions that are created based on our actions, right? So samskaras, vasanas are the impressions, and karma is the action. We do it, and I'm using like Hindu or Buddhist concepts there, right? But every time we come, we're creating more and more of these impressions. So when we come the next time, if we come, hopefully we don't come. I hope this is the last round for us. But we carry that with us, right? So the clarity is lost. Maybe when we are very young, if we are taught it properly, I think the clarity is there. Because the mind, the
How
young,
we grasp.
like a child's mind is unsullied, right? I remember having a conversation with Vedanti, right, my daughter, and I was telling her about this, who our true nature is, and she understood then. She was like 6, 7 years old, but now she'll be like, "What are you talking about, Daddy?" You know?
You're right. I have an experience with my son who's now the people there. He's about to graduate from boot camp in Navy. But back then when he was barely speaking, like 3 years old, I was driving and he's in the back seat, and I noticed him drifting, looking into the window, and I trying to engage him in conversation, and goes, "Mikey, what are you thinking?" And he said something so profound, it's like I have to stop. Because he said, "Oh, I'm looking at the world out there." And I said, so I tried to engage him and said, "So what are you thinking?" "Well, the world is out there and I'm in it."
Okay.
And I was like, whoa, it hit me
Right.
at that age. And you said, like with Vedante,
Right.
they're already there.
Yeah,
They
because
don't have to do.
everybody is already that.
Right.
You, it's not like you learn something. This is not new.
But for us being adult, trying to be a father at that moment, and then you caught in the drama of this conversation, you say, whoa.
Like I'll tell you something. Like I'll give you an example. So since I was a kid, right, I didn't have
You're
much.
still a kid, bro.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm chronologically, right. So since this body was a kid, let's put it that way. Since the body was a child, I didn't have a sense of physicality. Like I, even now, in my, this body, it's have acquired a lot of stuff, right? But I don't have a sense of it. You follow what I'm saying?
I'm trying to. What do you mean by?
Like,
Because you're not.
I don't have a mental image. Like if you like, a lot of people probably have a mental image of themselves. I realize that I don't have it. I never had it. Like sometimes if I look at my photo, I might not recognize it. And
that's interesting. How? Because when, as you know, both of us are adults with the arts, right? When we're immersed within that creativity, there is no doer and the doee or the doership thing, right?
Yeah.
And you get lost into this,
the flow. Yeah.
Well, you get lost into that relationship that I'm creating this,
right,
and just there, right? And so I think I have a grasp of what you're saying, because there's no more relationship of, oh, I'm gonna create it. It's already there. It feels like it's already there.
So that's a very like deep level of art,
which we all have.
which is reality in a way, right? Because so they'll say like a block of stone, uncarved block.
That's what
the image is already there.
Yeah.
So you're just uncovering what's already there.
Yeah.
And that's the right way to do it, as opposed to I am going to create this thing with my own creativity, which is a way of creating.
Right.
But the other way is just letting everything fall, like over a period of time, of course.
And then we learn, of course, as kids, we don't even know the word creativity means, right?
Everybody, all kids are creative.
Right.
Yeah.
We're really creative, and then so we're just going, oh. But then I realized also that I don't have to grow up. Like if we stay there, which we still are, then I think that's how I grasp what you're saying, that there is no I in terms of.
No, it's not a question of I. What I mean is there's no body image, like a self-image. Do you have a self-image of yourself? Like you remember yourself as something? When you say I, do you have like a mental image of yourself in your mind?
Well, I'm conscious of the body, but the body is not me.
For me, it's like, yeah, of course. I mean, we are all conscious of the body. We can touch, feel, we do everything with the body. Now, what I mean is like a representation of you.
No,
conceptually.
I cannot even grasp that, because
I don't know how many people have that or don't have it. A lot of people seem to have this mental image of themselves as a. Okay, if I try to elucidate a little more, so let's think that you're playing an online role-playing game, and you create an avatar.
Oh,
right. So, like, do you have an internal avatar of yourself? You know.
You know what? It's interesting you brought that up, because as I was growing up, I was intrigued with when people said, "I own this."
Right.
I own this land.
Right.
And it seems like, oh, what do you mean by that? I couldn't grasp that. Like, what do you mean that? Is there like an energetic thing that I own this?
Right.
That I own this land, and what makes the other not own it?
Right.
So for me, that was like a thing. Like, what makes you own it? And then it's puzzling for me. So now we're talking about politics. Like, oh, the Native Americans or everybody else, they own this land. But I still can't grasp that.
Right.
I think is that the same thing, or an although at a different level, when you say your own self, who is yourself? Right?
Yeah, I know. I'm not trying to philosophize. Who am I? I mean, we have beaten that horse to death many times over, right? No, but what I'm saying is that I think that children, in general, they don't have that self-image, like a motif of themselves or an avatar of themselves mentally, a mental construct, like a lot of people, I don't know, I mean, a lot of people might have it.
I think that, okay, I'm not speaking for everybody, right? When they have this game that when you have an avatar, right? Which is a double fun maybe, when you create this identity in the game in this realm, and then they're playing the game of itself to pretend that they are that.
Right.
So that makes them feeling of, oh, yeah, I'm materializing this concept into this.
See, that's how it is in our life too, right?
Right. There's no difference. So that video game, just like you said, what's the difference between that and here right now? We're playing that role.
Right. Yeah, and we are materializing a persona.
Right.
So like, it's a personality. It's a mask we put on.
So where did that
act
from?
as something?
Let me.
So like where I was going with that is that, like when we talk about your son, my daughter, and young children in general, I think they are already like, they're pure in the sense their mind is not sullied by concepts
at that time.
Yeah.
Right.
So they don't. It's like pure.
Right. And we learn from
pure nature, like our true nature that expresses itself through children. So when a child is, they're happy and they're playing and they're full of life, that's how we should be, like children.
And I want to inject something in there because this morning I was looking at Facebook and I was following this group of two set violins, famous two nerds.
Okay.
Who's in their classical music.
Violinists. Okay.
Yeah, violinists. And so they were reviewing this 7-year-old child prodigy, a Japanese girl who can barely even grasp the thing, but she's a master.
Okay.
But now they're playing that role and they're like, wow. Of course, you'd be amazed at how good the kid is.
Right.
But then there's a drama that's unfolding with other people of jealousy now, saying, oh, why is she blessed and I'm here, I'm whatever age you are, and then I still can't grasp anything substantial when it comes to 7-year-old. But once you see that you are separate from her, then you begin to feel that you are less. You see what I mean?
Yeah, no, and the thing is, it is because mind is not sullied by concepts. You have not acquired the trash of the world and put it in your mind, Like if your mind your true nature is covered by the trash, the conceptual trash of the world, then how do you do anything that's pure and clean? It's always going to be contrived. It will be a pretension, Like I think we were talking about this, right? So everybody has an innate thing. Now this is Master Jose. He had told me this. Like when I started doing Tai Chi with him, he was like, with time, Tai Chi will let you find and express through you your talents. And I didn't know what he meant by that. Like he said everybody has some talent. And I think that's what it is. It's like, okay, that for that girl, the talent might be very good violin, a musician.
Right.
Somebody else might be a beautiful artist. Somebody might be an actor. Somebody might be a brilliant scientist. But you have to be open to the possibilities and let that come out on its own, as opposed to like imposing artificial concepts. Like if And
Well,
we all do it with our kids, right? So we'll say, oh, you have to do this, you have to score this, you have to study this way, you have to do that way. And some of it is okay. We say, oh, it's for practical purposes. We want our children to be successful, whatever the definition of success might be in this world. But really, what we're doing is, in a way, if you're not careful, we'll stifle their creativity. We'll suffocate them under layers and layers of social, constructs.
Well, I think it's also like, okay, we all know that we have a role in this world, right? And many haven't even discovered what is that role.
Right.
And when the ego comes in and says, no, I am doing this, it's just like when Shakespeare said, we're all just actors in this stage, right?
Right.
And now you say, well, I don't want to be the antagonist. I want to be the protagonist.
Right.
I want your role.
Right.
I don't want to play my role. How much do you think that is in real life when people get jealous of others?
Oh yeah, of course, all the time, man. All the time. But the thing is, like, okay, so unlike in a play where roles are defined, in life we have the ability to define our own role. So like in Hindu like tradition, there's a concept of dharma, okay, where the dharma is the natural way of things, the Tao, let's say, right? That's what dharma means. It means the natural way, whatever upholds the source.
Not the political caste system.
No.
That has nothing to do with that.
Dharma is nothing like that. Dharma is the natural. It's the nature of things. How the universe operates. That's dharma. Okay. So the dharma of a tree is to grow, create shade, have leaves, seeds, flowers. The dharma of a tiger might be to hunt and kill and eat and be a tiger. And the dharma of an artist is to be an artist. Be really good at it. A dharma of a musician is to be a really good musician. So like that, everybody has their what we call self dharma or swadharma. So there is a dharma which is for the universe. There is a dharma which belongs to a society. There is a dharma that belongs to even like what you call the caste system. It's not the caste system actually. That's a bullshit term put by the British.
That's what I meant.
So what you're talking about is called the varnashram. Okay. So varnas. Okay. So there are 4 varnas according to the traditional Vedic system, and it's a social thing. It's not really a religious thing.
Okay.
You have the blue collar people. They are called the Shudras. Okay. You have the businessmen and craftsmen. They are called the Vaishyas. You have the people who are warriors, and they're called Kshatriyas. And then you have the intellectual, the people who deal with abstract, with learning and knowing. They're the Brahmins. Okay. And these were not inherited roles per se. These were just like 4 classes of society based on what you do. Okay. That got, that's how it kind of was, how it degenerated into something else is a completely different subject. And that's got nothing to do with religion. Right? Just like slavery has nothing to do with Christianity or Islam. Right?
It was something that was slapped on.
Yeah. I mean, so you could see that at one point, white Americans owned slaves, right? So does that mean that Christianity was responsible for slavery?
I think it later evolved as we make up our own parameters of, well, this is what I think it is. And which is, I wanted to ask you about this. You said dharma, like for example, this natural nature, right? There will be the hunter and then the prey. But somebody has to play that role of being the prey.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It's like for a tiger or a lion, hunting is its dharma because that's its nature. You cannot make a tiger eat grass, right? There's actually a very nice story I heard, like Swami Vivekananda talks about this. Is often quoted as having said this story. Like there's this tiger that, as a cub, its mother died and it got basically separated from its pack, or if whatever the equivalent of tiger's pack is, like for tigers is. And so it got adopted by a bunch of sheep. So it grew up in the society of sheep.
Right.
And it grew up and it ate grass and it tried to mimic the sound, the bleating of a sheep. And then it kept growing and growing, and the sheep didn't care because they knew it was part of their, flock, right? So one day it became like a fully grown tiger, and it was eating grass. And then another tiger came to attack the sheep. And so the tiger was chasing the sheep around, and this big tiger, which thought it was itself to be a sheep, also started running and hiding. And then all the sheep ran away, and this the tiger that knew itself came to the sheep tiger and said, "What are you hiding for? Oh, please don't eat me! Please don't eat me!" The tiger says, "Why will I eat you? You're a tiger just like me." It says, "Who? Me? I'm a tiger?" Says, "Yeah, you're a tiger." And then it's kind of like a deviation, but he says, "Okay, how do I know? Okay, come, let's look in the water." And I look in the water, and he sees the reflection of that tiger, and I say, "Oh, I'm a tiger too." And then you roar like a tiger, and you follow your dharma. So everybody has their own dharma that they have to find.
But he's been eating grass all along.
Right, and so then he realizes he's a tiger, and then he doesn't eat grass anymore, and he roars like a tiger instead of bleating like a sheep. So everything has its natural thing, like a natural order. Everything has its natural properties and characteristics. So you have to be true to your nature.
It's interesting. You that comes into play with animals, right? Now, as human beings, we have the ego, we have the intellect. That comes into play. How do we realize that dharma if we are full of shit?
So that's a really hard. That's a hard thing, man. I mean, and I think for that you really need to have an environment where the child is brought up in a way that they're free to explore, to free to kind of try and figure out what is it that makes them want to wake up the next morning and really do something,
Right.
I mean, all of us have been in situations. We are old, right?
Yeah.
I mean, think about it this way: like, let's say that the average lifespan is 75 years, 80 years, right? We are almost at the last quarter of our lives,
Yeah, that's
right?
depressing.
Oh no, it's not. It's a fact.
No, if you're putting it in that life, right?
Oh, let's say that you live to be 100 years, then we're 50% done with that life, right?
That's even better,
right? And by life, I mean the life of this body, right? We don't die.
Right.
Our true nature, our true self, always continues. There's no end.
But once we become stuck and attached with this and identify with this, then it becomes depressing.
Right. Yeah, that's it is, and that's a big fallacy, right? And all of us have that same. It's like our, what do you call it? The Achilles tendon.
Oh, yeah,
right.
Yeah. But you see, like, growing up in a culture where you're aware of that, it's much easier that But for other society that's more materialistic, just like here in the States, right? In the U.S., where everything is about here.
This
materialism.
This and then.
Right.
So I had a thought about that, and I'll share it because I watched Swami Sarvapriyananda's videos. I've shared them with you, right? And so he talks about this all the time. He says, I saw a sign one day, and it said, call 1-800 blah 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 if you want to go to heaven. Okay. So he says, then what is heaven? Heaven is some other place other than this. So when will you go to heaven? After you die. So the promise of heaven is not now, later, not here, somewhere else. But your true nature is right here, right now. You don't need to go anywhere. You don't need to wait for anything.
No 800.
You're already that.
You don't need an 800.
You don't need an 800 number to go to heaven. Now, but that's kind of an aside, right? So what were we talking about? We were talking about how do we find our dharma, and that's a hard part, man. I mean, it is, and it behooves us as parents and grandparents, and then we have grandchildren to kind of cultivate that in the younger generation, such that don't be afraid to explore what you need to do, what you want to do. I mean, really, if you look at how we live like what is that? Again, I'm quoting Swami Sarvapriyananda because I'm heavily influenced by him. And what is the term he used? He said, "You travel, you live in fear all the time." That's how we live. We live in fear. What's going to happen tomorrow? What are we going to do? Are we going to, like, you're always in survival mode. Like, how do I eat? Where do I stay? What clothes do I wear? You know, we need to get to a point where we don't have to worry about food, shelter, and safety anymore. You know, and once you're taking care of that, then it should not be about acquiring more and more wealth. Yeah. It should be about
beyond the survival instinct.
You go beyond, like, the first three chakras, right? The first three chakras are all about that. It's about survival, it's about procreation, and it's about me and this belongs to me. This, I have acquired this, I know that, you know. So you got to go beyond that, and when you go to the level of the heart, then you start connecting with nature like Mikey did. Because I am in nature. I am in the world. You know, I'm in it. And this is the world. And then you'll realize that the world is actually in you. It's not. You're not in the world. The world is in you.
I wanna inject on something. You know, I'm not gonna name any person, but you know, at work I have this thing. But it's an observation for me. I'm not generalizing the young kids, right? But I have seen a lot of kids now where they say, because they grew up with internet, Google, right? And so this new young person in our work, we call him Mr. Google, because he thinks of everything now as just a bunch of information, which it is.
Right.
That everything can be Googled. And so there's nothing under the sun that cannot be known or not learned.
Yeah.
And so I have this conversation with him because it led to Kung Fu. He liked Kung Fu.
Okay.
So he said, "Oh, I can Google it, learn Kung Fu." I said, "Oh my God." And so he and other coworkers who are in the graphic design and the arts thing, he said, "Wow, so you're gonna Google everything?" He said, "Like, are you gonna Google how to get a girlfriend too?" I said, "Yes, I did." And so we're like laughing now. So we're not denigrating, but
right.
But he thinks that everything can be known.
Yeah, that's like naivete, right?
Right. And so that kind of saddened me too, because I'm not saying I'm better. We're all learning.
Yeah. We grew up in a world when there was no internet.
Yeah.
And there was no technology. I mean, technology was just, you know, television and rotary telephones. That's how I grew up, right? And even television, I didn't have till I was like, we didn't have a television at home till 84 or 83 or 84. Okay. So,
but to put it succinctly, it seems like to me that a lot of these kids now is just learning how. Everything is about this how to do things.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of methodology.
Yeah. And we've talked about that even in the martial arts, right? So most people want method. Like, teach me this technique, that technique, blah, blah, blah.
And that's it.
And that never helps. I mean, it might help to a certain extent, but oh man, the grandmaster is here. So, like, let us get back to what we were talking about, right? And
we were talking about, like,
how do you find that thing that you're really good at? How do you find that and do that in this world? You know, like your true calling, say.
I'm still working on it. I don't have no idea at this point. I have, and that's something I've been battling with for a long time. The other thing I'm battling with, the other thing that I'm battling with right now, as far as those kind of questions, is the true calling, right? And the fact that I've spent so much time on maybe 2 or 3 things, and none of them I could even aspire to be, you know, like to be called like my, you know, like I have a total control of it, or some kind of, how would you say it, some kind of actual consistency in being good at, you know, and something that Jose is a master of Tai Chi,
Yes.
Amongst other things, but he is a master of taste. I have nothing in that vein, and I don't know if it's for me this lifetime. I don't know if I'm supposed to gather all this stuff for the next time. I don't know any of that, and I don't know what I'm supposed. I try to go most of the time just off of what comes up, but lately it's just a
No,
rut.
but it's like the way I see it. It's not about really about mastery so much as finding the thing that makes you want to wake up in the morning. And
What you like to do instead of like, oh, I'm gonna master this.
I like to drink beer.
Oh, there
Not,
you go.
but not in the morning.
make a microbrewery, man.
Not in the morning. In the
Start a
morning,
microbrewery, man. Brew your own beer.
Like, do you feel it different? Like when you were kids, oh, I'm gonna conquer the world, and then now it's like, oh, I can't even do this. I'm not gonna conquer the world.
I feel like I'm always working on trying, whether it's physical, my physicality, my spirituality, my focus on whatever I'm trying to get done, you know, and then to be trying to balance all that out, it's difficult. My time management sucks, you know, and it's like there's not enough time for everything in there. It's like I'd like to work on music more, but now when I pick up a guitar, I start to get it. Oh shit, gotta go do something. You know, I don't have the, you know, when you work at home, maybe you have a little more time, a little more,
You do.
a
You
little
do
more,
have
right?
you do have more time when you work from home.
But I did, you know, I don't have that kind of capacity to work at home, so I'm like, So anytime I start to noodle or start to, you know, like we used to when we were young and we don't care, it's always like it's time's going by. Either do something productive or get the fuck. But you know that there's art or music can't be like that. If you start noodling, and that's where you find
you need to spend time with it, man.
so you got to separate time. You know,
Yeah.
you can't look at it as now I'm wasting time. You know what I'm saying? Don't get started there. You know, because I remember when I was really deeply into it, I'd get up in the middle of the night. I didn't care. I'd be in my room, whatever, doing whatever the hell I wanted.
Yeah, I remember when I was playing guitar when I was in college, right? And I would play 6, 7, 8 hours a day. And I was like, you know, I had to go to school, finish my, which I barely did. I didn't really attend much classes or anything. I used to go sit outside and, you know, smoke and crap like that. Don't do that, kids. No, but you know, you're right. You have a lot more time.
Well, you know what? For me, is
So yeah, well you have, you know, you're an artist too. So I don't know how serious you. To me, you seem to take that really seriously. You keep it going, and
Yeah,
you're
that's
inspired.
I don't
right?
really,
You're inspired.
yes and no, but the way I look at it is that I no longer compartmentalize everything where I have to go to work, do this and do that. If I do that, I can't do it.
Yeah.
So now it's like instead of doing that, I find that okay, how am I gonna be an artist or I'm gonna be myself while working? So now my work or my struggle becomes my inspiration. So I
That's a
find it
very,
in
very
there.
fascinating thing.
So like, oh, my inability to cope up with
Bullshit
things
at work.
is my topic. So like,
You use that to fuel your creativity.
yeah. So
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you know, for example, I'm working on this series, you know, of making excuses. So my series is waiting to meditate. Why do you have to wait to meditate? Because most of us would say, oh, when I retire, I will read this book. When I retire, I dedicate whatever, right? We always put things aside, like you know, I can, and I find myself, you know, it's never gonna happen, ever. It's a fallacy, you know. So I said,
It happens, and when you talk to retired people, they go, "Yeah, I went through the first couple of books, and I just needed something to do."
Yeah.
You know, and that's
Right.
Play golf or something.
And sometimes those readings are made to be at that time in your life when you run into it. That's when you're supposed to get it.
Right.
That's when you're gonna gain the most from it. You know.
so a friend of mine who's a, you know, and he's a poet. He's a taxi driver. And guess what he was doing? He was painting things about in the car, and I was also inspired by that. And he's a friend of mine, and he writes poetry, and now he's doing a series of. And so even then, I said, wow, that's really awesome. So how do you know, we can never be too idealistic and says, oh, okay, forget this. I'm just going to be a showman master.
Right.
I'm going to forget everything. I'm going to leave my wife. said it's not possible. And so when I read Lahiri Mahasaya, right? How did he juggle to be a spiritual person while working in a corporation and have time for all that?
And students. And all that stuff. Yeah.
But I think when you tap into that part of you, which is like we were talking about, right? Our true nature, our true self. All these things, it's like there is infinite energy there. There is infinite creativity there, and we just have to uncover that and like plug ourselves. So we are already that, but our personality that is acting in this world to just follow that, like somebody like who was this? The guy who did Star Wars, George Lucas. He said, "Follow your bliss," and
Joseph Campbell.
Joseph Campbell said that, right?
Yeah.
And so that's it, man. We have to follow our bliss is our true nature, and we follow that, and everything comes with it. But it's just clearing the clutter a bit, the mental, conceptual clutter that we need to get rid of, so we can connect back. Not even connect back. That's words are very difficult when you talk about this stuff. But you basically, you know what I mean, right?
It's hard to clear the clutter. I know
you let that light shine through, because it's hidden behind a bunch of debris right now. So you got to move the debris away, and then the debris is life, basically. How we live our life and all our past memories and emotions, thoughts, feelings, all that is
I
basically.
think it's also the same thing. You know how when you start teaching arts, right? And then you always fantasize about, someday somebody's gonna attack me. I'm gonna do this. But nobody will ever attack you. Maybe the chances are small unless you look for trouble, right? So, for me, what is Tai Chi then? What are we doing this Tai Chi? So now I realize that, oh crap, my boss is giving me a hard time. I'm in the thick of this. This is my Tai Chi. I have to.
That's the most.
Exactly.
That's profound, man.
So that's what I'm realizing right now.
Yeah.
So I have to be empty. The Master Jose said, you have to do that. Oh, okay. So this is the Tai Chi. It's not about.
You remember? Do you guys watch that video Master did? Like the interview that I did with Master.
Yeah.
He talks about that, right? Being empty. How do you be empty at work? How do you be empty in life? And so that's beauty, man. That's beautiful, because that's what Tai Chi is.
It's like, peaceful, and then
You go inside
and your family's like, hey, go to crash, and you get into discussions.
Yeah.
That's one of the parts of the training. When we find a time like right now in the stand where it's a time to do it. Then, like Chen Man-ching used to say, when you reach for the phone, back when they had phones, you reach for it, and that should be your whole body. That should be your body. That's all Tai Chi. Right. Your life has to become that.
Yeah.
And as we listen to Jose talk about it, basically, whatever situation you find yourself under,
try to be balanced, man. Yeah. That's what Tai Chi is, right? Tai Chi is balance. Is yin and yang balanced together.
Yeah, like when you have to do with the thing last night, you said it hit you, right?
Oh,
or did the cat?
Well,
that's the same thing.
Last night, I had every chance. I don't know why I didn't flip out. Usually I flip out. I can't believe this. I didn't. I was just like, how the fuck am I going to get this door open, So I called but I didn't flip out. And my neighbor was pretty nice and he was pretty calm. So everything turned out smooth.
Yeah.
And at night I didn't go to sleep. How am I going to fix it? I said, fuck. Maybe a couple $100, I got to get it fixed. What are you going to do? I'm not going to let this spoil the fact that I spent time with my family and came home, brought a plate for my old lady because she didn't want to go in. And, we enjoyed the evening. I had a couple brewskis and then fell asleep. But
I think that's Tai Chi right there. You handled
it.
That's it, man. That's it.
I'm surprised at how I handle it because sometimes just driving, oh my God, I'm terrible. What are you doing? Get off the road, I'm terrible, man.
Well, and then the cat.
That's just bringing out your nurturing, For me, that brings out the nurturing. I'm all jazzed up about getting here, man. God damn it, I'm late. And then,
you got to do something about it.
Come on, little one. And then she not only does she want food, she wanted to be petted too. I'm like, okay.
And that kind of calms you down too, right?
Because usually, like every couple days a week, she's my breakfast partner. She'll be there, she'll eat, I'll eat my breakfast, I'll do my stretches and everything. She's just hanging out, and she goes, I want to go. And I go, okay, let's go. And I get on my bike, she goes her way. And
You know, it reminded me of, you know, the book, the short stories.
I'm reading that right now.
Yeah.
Again.
There's a story in there of about the tea master who doesn't know how to fight, but he was given the sword by the king.
An ancient, was it? He was given the sword by the king?
Yeah, and you know, for all his service, like he's been on the court serving for like 50, 60 years, and says, you know, no, I don't deserve this, but you know, at that time, whoever had that sword, you got to know how to.
If you're gonna have a sword on
you know how to use it. So while he's walking in the forest, somebody saw him and said, I challenge you for a death match.
Oh,
so he was shaking. He's like, I don't know how to fight.
Right.
You know, well, you
they
have
took
that.
him for a samurai because also the tea masters back in the day, they all dressed like sort of like samurai. So he had the
He
sword.
said, forgive me, you know, I don't know. The king gave me this. I said, I'm a tea master. What do I do? No, don't. So you know, sunrise, we're going to kill each other, right? And so that night, in the story, he met another guy. And he's a warrior.
I think it goes like this. He talked to samurai, Ronin. It was one of talked to Ronin into, okay, well, at least give me time to go say goodbye to my master, you know, because he was a servant of somebody. He was a tea master, but he was a servant of one of the hierarchy. Right? So, and the guy, okay, this evening we will meet. So he went and he found the master in the town of the Kento, you know, the sword. And he went, and that's who he went to ask. I need to learn how to use a sword. What was the words that he used? He used some interesting words. He said, although I know I'm gonna die, I want to at least be able to show that I can wield the sword, something like that to that effect. And then what happened?
And then he goes, well, what do you do? I'm a tea master and serve tea.
Okay.
And he still didn't understand. What do you mean? I'm about to die by sunrise or something like that.
The master says, well, okay, you're a Chanyuma, I forgot, it's the tea master, okay. And the guy's, you know, he's complaining, I gotta learn. Well, I don't know. Well, why don't you make me some tea? You know, the guy said, you're a master. Hey, give me some tea. I want to taste your tea.
Yeah,
So all of a sudden, the guy, he goes into his whole centeredness, fixing it for the sword, you know, for the kendo master. And he's fixing it. He goes, you don't need to learn anything. You already have it.
Right.
You know? And so then what happened?
So the tea master didn't know that he's already a master. But then when finally the guy who challenged him, so in front of him, he laid out all this stuff, you know, serving tea. So while serving tea, the warrior witnessed how he moved, how everything is precise and accurate. And he goes, oh man, you're a master.
By the time
But
he gave him instructions. All I want you to do is to prepare, like you just did right now.
Right.
Prepare, and then just hold the sword over your head and be ready. And that's what the guy, you know. By the time the Ronin was looking at him, so meticulous, everything in perfection. By the time he held the sword up and closed his eyes, he said, "Don't move till you feel him. Don't move till you feel him." He sat there, opened one eye, opened the other. The guy was gone. He had run away because of the sheer mastery of what he was shown. Yeah.
It's interesting, man. I mean, what is this mastery that the story is talking about? What mastery is it? Is it the mastery of the techniques, or is it something else?
Well, the serving tea is Tai Chi, and it's life. And if we go looking for, at least that's how I read this, the moral of the story is that we try to go look for something that we're not, but we're already all that. Whatever role.
See, that's what I was asking about.
Yeah.
Like, is that mastery about you mastering yourself?
It's about the self-mastery, self-discovery, self-connect with the higher self.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that's clearing the clutter by being meticulous and being organized.
He just said,
just cleared all the clutter and let
even when he was worried, asking the sword master to teach him. Even when he was, once they told him, he went into automatic, you know, and it cleared his mind.
So he cleared his mind because he's in his own zone, you know. And then little did he know that's it. That's you're not looking.
You got to get out of your own way.
Yeah.
So I think that's a lesson.
That's a very profound statement. And George used to tell me this all the time. My first teacher, like, you need to get out of your own way, man. You need to learn how to get out. How can I get out of my own way? He says, you'll figure it out. Don't worry.
Oh my God.
I think
I got tired of asking
all of
how
us,
too. I'm like, oh man.
you know, if we're still looking for what we need to do in life, the dharma or the samsara that we're experiencing is the interplay is our tai chi.
Yeah.
So dealing with my boss, dealing with the cat, dealing with whatever, our kids, whatever. That's our
Staying
tai chi.
balanced. Like, as I keep looking at every time I'm getting like flustered and think, you know,
So who's the adversary?
What would Master Jose do?
I always go there and then I go, you know what? He's just so clear and empty.
Yeah.
It's like the story he told
Nothing
about
is.
him and Lisa going to the store. And the guy, you know, the clerk being belligerent and mean. And he didn't even notice it. He was just, okay, I got my stuff. He walked out and Lisa's telling me,
What did you do something?
what you do something? The guy was insulting you. He goes, what? You know, that's how can you become that? You know? I ask myself that every day at work. What would Jose do in this situation? I still can't do it. You know, that's the part. I'm like, well, okay, what can I do? Be aware of it.
Yeah.
Accept what you feel. Accept it. Try to let it go. Or let it go.
Yeah.
Just let it go and keep on going. If it keeps going like this at you, be as empty as you can.
Well,
and then the final thing is just pray inside you. And don't pray for something bad or something less or something. Just pray for yourself
For letting go.
To be able to let go. Pray for yourself to just stay centered, you know, and be able to battle yourself. So there are prayers, you know, protective prayers, whether it's Catholic religion, whatever prayers. Whenever I think about some of those, you know, I'm not thinking anymore sometimes when I get really deeply into it, I'm not thinking anymore about, oh, protect me from so-and-so, protect me from, I'm thinking protect me from myself and the part that is touched or the ego that's affected. That's affected. You know, that's what I'm asking for. You know, not that it works all the time, but that's kind of where it's going.
And I think that's like coming back to the Tai Chi, right? So, like the clearing the clutter, in a way, like when we do Tai Chi, we're clearing the clutter. And we let that light shine through. And we are that light, but we let our light come out, you know. And then we stay that way till, again, life adds the clutter back. And so we keep going back to doing Tai Chi, clear the clutter. And little by little, we start realizing that, you know, we are not the clutter. We are the light itself. We are the light that makes the clutter known. That illuminates everything, right? So if you stay that way, I think then our chances of getting like really messed up go down significantly. I mean, if you think about it, most of the stuff that we face in our lives, it's insignificant. I mean, if you think like as compared to
once you look at the big picture, you know, well, I don't know. See, a big picture is a lot to different people. A financial person looks at a big picture. He looks at a lot, you know, a lot of stuff. We look at the big picture. I think of the universe, you know, and not that I'm anywhere nearly connected down, nothing. I'm just like, what is the big picture here? Why am I mad? What is this going to matter?
Right.
What
we
is
are like a micro speck of a micro speck in this massive universe, right?
Yep.
So how is it
we're
that
worried about this little thing, like it's the whole world and the whole. Well, like here's the thing too. Master Jose revealed very, very interesting thing that I've never known, you know, since the last visit, and that is he said when he started the Tai Chi at the
Dao Center?
The Dao Center, and he had this thing with right? I don't know. And because of that, the out closed the door on him. Because of, hey, wait a minute. Because when he started sending energy, he found the back door. who's this guy who
You can circumvent.
yeah. So it boils down to how does he learn his Tai Chi. So Master Jose said, oh, wait a minute. All the stuff that he learned was yeah, it's good. But now I don't have to go through that same path. So Master Jose's meditation led him to the same
Knowledge.
knowledge.
Yeah. Wow.
Different route.
I think that's what happens if we stay true to, like, instead of getting caught up in methods. See, that's what I like about the way Master Jose teaches is like there is no method. There is a transmission. You know what I mean?
Oh, he said this. He
like-
said this. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Before I forget. He said this. We have to go beyond and find out what's beyond that. What led to that is that when Lisa brought up this big eye staring at you in his meditation, and he brought up Master Jose's experience, and yeah, Master Jose said, yeah, he saw that. It's like a big eye literally looking at him.
Like,
right?
who
Like, who are
was
you,
looking
right?
at the big guy?
Yeah.
Who was at Master Jose?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this big guy is like confrontation right here. It's not there, it's right here. It's like looking at him. And then Master Jose said, I gotta go beyond this. So he went through it instead of getting stuck here. Because otherwise, if you get stuck here, it's like here, like
It's in your
you
face.
be confronted, right? Like
yeah.
I'm staring at you.
You
You're like,
resist
"Oh,
it.
shit,"
Yeah.
like get out of my face. So he began to see it as an illusion. I'm just using my own words now, right? He went through it, got to the source, and then he realized what it is. So he said we have to find out whatever happens to us, whether it's Tai Chi or not, we have to get beyond that.
You go through it.
Go through it. Otherwise you're gonna get stuck.
Yeah.
So, that's a profound lesson.
Yeah, you don't resist. If you resist it,
Right.
then you're in opposition.
So whatever's staring at you right? Whether it's something happening in your life and you expounded on it, then you're gonna get stuck and you get attached to it. You gotta go
You
through it.
accept and go through it.
So he's using that method
Right.
when he's sitting down and he encounters all this vision. And he said, oh no, what's this? And he goes through it. And he said it always worked for him. So,
It's amazing because this is what the Buddha said, right? So another name of the Buddha is Tathagata, right? Did you know that?
what is it?
Tathagata.
What is that?
Thus come once. Okay. So what he said is that, let's say that you're sick, right? If you resist your sickness, you're going to just burn up more energy trying to resist it. Your mind is resisting it. Instead of that, accept, I'm sick. And let it go. And it'll take you through the sickness faster than if you keep fighting. Oh, no, I'm sick. I can't. I have to fight it. No. You got to go through it. Everything in life is like that. It comes. And it goes.
Resistance is futile.
It goes. You have to just go through it. You have to kind of.
It's difficult. That's true. That's what you have to do. That's the only way.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the most positive way, because if you're used to fighting for everything, that you've never had anything really come to you that easy.
Right.
Not that anybody here's had a hard life, but you're used to everything you acquired had to have some kind of effort, some kind of fight or struggle.
Yeah.
Then when that happens, you are struggling within yourself.
And that goes to what you said earlier about seeing the big picture. Now, when you see the big picture, you'll no longer say, "No, wait a minute, I'm struggling with this now. I have to resist this," and then it's going back and forth. It's futile, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I mean, we have to stop resisting stuff. Just let go, accept. Like, really, I mean, what choice do we have in life? Life happens as it happens. Do we have much of a say in how it happens? I mean, we have maybe a little bit of control over things like, today I decide to take this road, tomorrow I decide to take that road, or which profession we get into. Even that is hard because our life circumstances lead us down a particular path, right?
I look at it in a humoristic way because, like, when we do like train like in the Filipino martial arts,
Yeah.
you try to get ready and then you hit him, right? And then you're trying to get ready and hit you. It's like, wait, I'm not ready yet.
Let me prepare.
Let me settle down. And no, you missed it,
Right.
Because you weren't prepared.
Right.
So that hit you. So now, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, it's so.
That's the training right there.
Yeah, I mean, that's the beauty of martial arts, man. Because it lets you experience conflict in a controlled manner, so that you can let go of the resistance. It's like all the martial arts that focus on just winning, they're missing the point. I mean, yeah, okay. I'm not saying that it should be all kumbaya around the campfire.
Everybody gets a trophy. Everybody gets a trophy.
No, I'm not saying it like that. What I'm saying is like there's a deeply spiritual, deeply philosophical angle to martial arts, which if you go to a mech dojo, you're missing it. Whereas if you spend a lifetime pursuing, mastery in a martial art, and by that mastery, I don't mean like the technique mastery or method mastery, but mastery really of your own self, right?
Like the tea master.
Yeah. So when you do that, you basically, you're cutting the clutter, you're clearing away all the crap, and letting, like, just being your true self, and by it, martial arts accelerates that learning process, because when somebody's coming to hit you, it's the most visceral reaction you can get. Oh, I need to defend myself. So how do you stay calm? How do you stay empty and deflect or diffuse that power? That's the most important thing.
I think pulling from this a little bit, depression is a real thing for a lot of people. They even kill themselves.
Yeah.
And I think in that light, we're already victors because we're handling it pretty good compared to those people who weren't able to handle that. You see what I mean? In the light of that, because when we look at ourselves, oh, I couldn't do this. I have conflict with this situation, my time, my life, whatever, right? But,
and I mean, we all go through that all the time, right? So what I personally realized is, like, with time, the cycle, everything is repetitive actually, it's cyclical. The same thing repeats itself over and over again. And typically, unless you figure out how to let that stuff go, it comes back again. It's a pattern repeats.
Sometimes stronger.
Yeah. So you gotta, once you go through it, like you said, like how Master Jose did, it doesn't come back again. Or even if it comes really back, it'll come back, less powerful the next time, less powerful. And every cycle you just let go, release, and it goes away. And then another cycle, something new comes up when you release that. Like for me, the thing that I struggle with is work. Like, not getting the recognition that for your work, and stuff like that. And that's stupid because I'm doing reasonably well, So when I look for there has been a situation where I put in the work and then somebody else took credit for it, and the ego part makes me want to go and what the heck, But I think about it, and it's a lesson. It's an opportunity for me to learn. Either one of the things is either stand up for myself or to let go, right? And the more I realize who we truly are, there is no standing up. Who am I going to stand up against? They're also the same as me, right? And so you have to basically, like, for me, it's about letting go, more and more letting go now.
So I think that we all have small realizations when we met Master Jose, right?
Yeah.
We all have different realizations, levels of it. What do you think still going through it. It's not like, oh, that's it. I've seen it all. No, we're still going through it.
Yeah.
What is the biggest realization thus far that you realized when the first master was it? Within yourself. And what? Because back then, when I first joined Tai Chi, it's a combination of my health and the martial arts thing. Little did I know that, wow, this Tai Chi is bigger than what I thought it was.
Yeah.
So, I'm still, what do you call it? I'm still in awe. I feel like I just met Master Jose yesterday, you know? Oh, that, wow.
That's a hard question. Right now, I'm trying to put it into compact answer. There's so many things that happen. So many things that are still happening. You know?
Right, it still happening. We still have a lot.
Because the way, like, going back to the method of teaching, is transmission. You know, it's not necessarily there's levels, but the levels are more subtle and revealing.
Yeah, exactly.
Self-revealing
Yeah.
as we go, whether they're spiritual, psychological, technical,
Martial,
or martial. You know, as we go, we keep learning more.
Yeah.
If we keep going forward, if we keep, the main thing is you gotta, do it. You know, and then from there, adapt it to whatever situations we're in, and then you learn from those situations. So that's a big thing to learn.
It's a lifelong thing, right?
And that's what, there you go. It's a lifelong thing. He's been doing it for how long?
Yeah.
You know? And then, not to mention the spirituality part, that's probably his whole
Right.
life. But he struggles with that. But the Tai Chi, ever since he was, I don't recall
So have you
how old, and he has been doing it, and he has been going, and he keeps going, and he keeps
And going deeper and
So
deeper.
he was
Father.
So
yeah.
there,
have you
to have a person of that magnitude actually come into your life and show you, and be so down to earth, and not one of these people, hey,
So have
give me some, and I'll give you a little bit of this or nothing.
So the next logical question is, yes, we all find that what do you call it? It's almost intimidating to talk about it because it's so bad. Right?
Yeah.
So have you found the tea master in you? That tea master thing?
I think I have, because my experience with Master Jose was like magical, man. I mean, I learned Tai Chi for about 13 years before I met Master Jose. And when I met him the first day, when he did that, and like for 15 days I was spontaneously in Samadhi, man. And it was very clear to me who I am is not this personality.
So it's not like a padded up thing that you have to learn. It's already there, right?
No, and I'm not talking about the martial part of it. I'm talking about the spiritual side of it. It's like who I am is not this personality who's going through the motions of living a life, doing Tai Chi and stuff like that. Because I
By
was
the way, when you
blissful.
touched it, it was pulsating.
I'm this blissful. I'm a completely satisfied, contented, blissful, awareness. And I didn't have words to articulate it at that time. But that's how I stayed. And I used to ask Master, what's happening to me? Don't worry. Your true thing is coming out little by little,
So how about you? Did it light up something in you that made you realize about that tea master in you? That it's not about self-aggrandizement. Oh yeah, I know myself now.
No.
But it's not about that. But it's like you finally feel that it's not about being good or something, but you find that you're at peace with who you are.
Yeah.
I think the practice does that. gradually. Faster for some people in some aspects of life, and slower in some aspects.
Little by little.
Chip away at this side, chip away at this side, and then, different for everybody, right?
That's what Master told me. Just little by little. Be patient.
Yeah.
Little by little.
Wow.
Yeah. It'll happen on its own. Just keep doing the work, And, I think at that note, let's end because
Everybody,
Yeah.
yeah,